أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين رحمة للعالمين بالقاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين أما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه المجيد وقوله الحق بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم حملته أمه كرها ووضعته كرها وحمله وفصاله 30 شهرا صلوا على محمد وعلى السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. I've been talking about ibadat. The first night, for those who were here, was about spirituality. And last night we talked about the importance of the Quran. Not only as a book that we should recite, but also as a book that we should live by. In other words, we put it in our action, in our bodies, in everything that we do. I want to talk about another subject which is also closely related to the Quran, but on a more social scale. In other words, what does the Quran have to say regarding the family? Increasingly, the family has become important in the West because it is the nuclear, if you like, the basis of a good society. In the West, we tend to think of the family as a man and a woman, a couple of kids, and a dog and a cat. That seems to be the family. However, the Quran sees the family as very central to a society. In order to have a good society, we have to have a good family. Not only that, as we shall see, the Quran identifies core values depending on what kind of relationship with either your sibling, your parents, your children, your grandparents. The Quran has special things to say about each and every aspect of the family. As I've been saying, we hardly pay that much attention to the Quran. It's more like lip service. But if we truly delve into the Quran, we shall find that the Quran is identifying certain values that we must uphold depending on who we are talking to within the family. First of all, it is important, I don't know how many of us have understood or even contemplated on this. Many of us feel the need to give to the poor, to give to charity. No doubt is very important. But before you give to somebody outside the family, the first person you should give to is somebody within your family if he or she is poor. وَإِيتَاءِ ذِي الْقُرْبَى وَالْيَتَامَى وَالْمَسَاكِينَ. The dhil qurba comes first. In other words, if there is somebody who is poor or who is not well off within your family, then you will give it first to that person. Then you go and give it to the outsider. Because the family comes first. When we are talking of family, we must also understand that we are talking of relationship. But it's more than just relationship. Many a time people are related, but they are not connected. Family demands not only relationship, it also demands to be connected. And therefore, a very core and important value here is what, If you look at the list of the major sins in Islam, there is a list of Gunah Kabire, ke Gunah Kabire hastan, ek list hastan. I'm told to speak a little bit in Farsi because of those who do not speak enough English. But my Farsi mun lahjaye Irani hai, Afghani nis. Bas khali ma'azarat bikham. In any case, then the more majority of it will be in English. One of the great sins in Islam is cut of rahm. In other words, to cut off the rahm. What is rahm? The womb. What is interesting, the word rahm means womb. The word rahm is closely connected to rahmah. Meaning what? It means that the mother is not only the one who bears the children, but she's also the source of mercy. The mother is far more merciful than the father, by the way. I'm talking as a father too. And therefore, the womb that carries you, we must respect women. Apart from other things, it's also because she bore you. She carried you. Therefore, you must respect the mother more. In other words, Silatul Rahim is not only recommended in Islam, it is wajib. To be connected to those who came out from the same womb is wajib in Islam. If you do not speak to your brother, your sister, your cousin, then you are committing a major sin. Absolutely. Look at the list of major sins. Cut or rahim, in other words, to sever or to cut off the womb is one of the major sins in Islam. Sallu ala Muhammad. Without then, we must respect the womb that carried you. And that connection must be real. Not just on WhatsApp once in a while. It should also be actually talking, meeting. The Prophet himself says that if you want Allah to increase your sustenance, your rizq, and Allah to increase your age, then make sure you keep good relationship with your close kin and kith. In other words, those who are family members to you. When we look at the Quran also, it's talking not only about relationship, but how children especially complete the father and the mother. You become complete because of your children. Because why? Because as a father, I not only have a duty towards the family, but I have to have a moral duty towards them too. To bring them up according to certain standards and values. I cannot tell my son to pray if I'm not praying. I cannot tell him to be truthful if I am not. The joke is, that somebody calls for a father and the son who is young, he says, "Daddy, it's your phone call." And the dad doesn't want to answer, says, "Tell him I'm not here." And the son, being very innocent, says, "My dad says he's not here." That goes to show that when we lie, we teach our children to lie too. It may be a small thing, but the children complete us in many ways. Because the product of the father is not just a teacher, he's also a nurturer. Yani pidar na fakat muallimas wali murabbihamas. There is a difference between a muallim and a murabbi. Muallim is one who is a teacher. Murabbi is one who nourishes the soul. Muallim is one who passes on knowledge. A murabbi is one who actually builds the character of the person. There was a wise man who said that I love my teacher more than my parents. He said, why? Because my parents brought me from up there to down here, but my teacher took me from down here to up there. In other words, he nourished my soul. So therefore, we as parents are not only teachers, but we are also parents at the same time. There's a beautiful dua in the Quran, and you will see one thing, that most of what I have to say tonight is coming from the Quran. It's a dua. Rabbi awzi'ni an ashkura ni'mataka allati an'amta alayya wa ala walidayya wa ana amalan salihan tardahu wa aslih li fi dhurriyyati. Oh my Lord, inspire me that I should thank you for all your blessings. You don't only thank with inspiration. Inspire me that I should thank you for all your blessings that you have given me. So that I should do good deeds that you are happy with. But the verse doesn't end there. وَأَصْلِحْ لِي فِي ذُرِّيَّتِي. Oh my Lord, reform me through my children. Many a time, our children put us to shame, because they are better Muslim, they are better human beings than we are. And therefore the dua coming from the Quran says, وَأَصْلِحْ لِي فِي ذُرِّيَّتِي. That reform me through my children. And there's another beautiful dua also in Surah Al-Furqan. Again connected to the family and why it is so important to have good spouses and good children. It's a dua. رَبَّنَا هَبْ لَنَا مِنْ أَزْوَاجِنَا وَذُرِّيَّاتِنَا قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ وَاجْعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِمَامًا. Oh my Lord, Give us from our spouses and our children those who will delight our eyes. Not a pain in the neck, but those who will delight our eyes and make us amongst those who are leaders of those who have taqwa. Not only we have taqwa, we should lead them because we have upright children and upright spouses. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala. Unfortunately, as you are maybe aware, the problem half the time is this, it's called cell phones. Cell phone khayli chiz ibadah. Huwa mas wal ibadah ham has. It's good, but it's also bad. Why? Because many a time people are in one family, but everybody is WhatsApping or Vibering or I don't know what they do these days. There is so much distraction that even at the time of eating, one hand is on the spoon, the other hand is also on the cell phone. And if you don't believe me, I was saying on the first night, some of you were not here, that I experienced it myself. A person is actually doing the tawaf and say, hello. And I'm like, what are you talking to, Jibreel? During the tawaf itself. Can't we make a way, or at least have some peace in our meditation? I'm not saying we shouldn't have cell phones. I have two, one for Canada, one for America. What I'm saying is, do not let these gadgets come between us as human beings. We have lost that social contact these days. Family values, even social contact with each other because of these gadgets. And therefore, when we do something, and again this is coming from the Quran, whenever we do things, do it with our children. Don't do it without them. So that they feel as if they are part of not only the family, but also part of the structure of what we are building. When Ibrahim is building the Kaaba, he doesn't do it on his own. Who does he do it with? Ismail. Rabbi, as he says in the Quran, says, Rabbi ij'alni muqima as-salat. Oh my Lord, make me amongst those who pray, wa min dhurriyyati, and my offspring too. In other words, when we do something, we do it together. And when Ibrahim is told, Inni ja'iluka lin-nasi imama, Allah says, I'm going to make you an imam for the people. The first thing that Ibrahim says is what? وَمِن ذُرِّيَّتِي. How about my children? Because the children are deeply, not just biologically, but morally, spiritually, ethically connected to the parents. The other dimension of the family that I want to talk about, we'll see how far we can get because of time, is that of the spouse themselves. I was talking about yesterday that one of the things that the Quran mentions is that Allah has created a spouse for amongst us. وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنَ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا, so that you should live with them. وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً. That between the parents themselves, there has to be mawadda and rahmah. In other words, there has to be mercy and affection. My friends, for so many times, so many occasions, we find parents who are living together under one roof but leading very separate lives. That is a sure way of breaking up the family. In other words, if the parents cannot do things together, live together in harmony and peace, what do you think the children are going through? And therefore it is very important then that they should not only show that rahmah but affection. There is a very beautiful hadith from Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salam, where the Imam says, إِذَا أَحْبَبْتَ رَجُلًا فَأَخْبِرْهُ. When you love somebody, any person, then tell him or her. Many a time we're so very quick to criticize, but when somebody does good, whether it's our spouse or anybody, how about showing that appreciation? Only because then you create a bonding within the society. But that appreciation must come from within the family. Remember, rahmah also means to be able to put up with diversity. Many men, I don't know about you guys, but men in my community, they want to mentally clone their wives. They want their wife to think like them, act like them, do like them. You cannot. Because we do not possess women. We are connected with our women. We don't possess them. We do not own them. And therefore, one of the greatest ni'mah that Allah has given us is diversity, differences. Unity does not mean uniformity. We can be united, but yet we can be different. So within the family also, we should embrace differences. Just because your wife or your husband thinks differently does not mean that we ask for a talaq. On the contrary, that Farsi, Shawharatun ya Karmatun Chimigi, just Chimigi, Hamsar. What does Hamsar mean literally? Hamsar literally means co-head. In other words, you are connected to the head. You are so close, literally, that he is your head, part of your head, or she is part of your head. We can barely share a bed, let alone a head. Even a neighbor is called what? Hamsaye. That is somebody who is your shadow. So we cannot even share a driveway, let alone share a shadow. The point being that the Hamsar shows how close we are supposed to be with each other. They are moral guides to each other. Because when the Quran is talking of marriage, it's talking of protection, of love, of shelter, of affection. Hunna libasun lakum wa antum libasun lahunna, the Quran says. Your wives are a libas for you, and you are a libas for them. Libas with you, huh? Do you know what libas is? Clothes. In other words, your spouses are clothes for you. What do clothes do? They give us protection. They give us comfort. They give us shelter, and so on. This is what a man and a woman are supposed to do for each other. It goes even further. Al-mu'minuna wal-mu'minat hum ba'dhum awliya'u ba'd. The believing men and the believing women, they are protectors of each other. Men are not superior to women, by the way. Believing men and believing women are protectors to each other. Ya'muruna bil ma'ruf wa yanhawna 'anil munkar. They undertake what is right and they forbid each other from what is wrong. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala. It goes to show, I think, why the Quran puts so much emphasis on family. To go even further, the Quran also touches on a very sensitive issue that we hardly ever talk about, and that is seniors. We don't want to talk about seniors much. I remember when I wrote my second book, Shiism in America. It's available on Amazon. It's Shiism in America. One of the things I did was to send a survey to various communities in North America to see what are some of the challenges they face. And one of the questions I asked in this survey was, what do you do for your seniors? What do you do for your seniors? I got one response out of about 100 surveys I sent. One response to this particular question, and the response was, we provide them chairs to sit on. Like, is that all you do for your seniors? Provide chairs? We can do much better than that. Today, unfortunately, the poorer cultures deal much better with the seniors than these cultures do. In this culture, in the West primarily, you get old, you go to the nursing home. When we were children, our parents never took us to a baby's home. They took care of us, they nurtured us. The way that I was brought up, and I'm sure many of you were brought up, we were told that just as your parents, they toiled and exerted so much effort to bring you up, you will look after them too when they grow up. Therefore, there's a very beautiful hadith, remember this. Imam as-Sadiq alayhi salam says, remember, your children are looking at you. Be careful at how you treat your parents. Because your children are looking at you. You treat them wrongly, tomorrow they will also put you in the nursing home. Then don't complain. You treat them badly, they will treat you badly also. Because you are their guide. And therefore, the Quran pays a lot of importance, not only of seniors, but how we deal with them, how we talk to them. The Quran is very sensitive about it. Imma yablughanna al-kibra ahduma aw kilahuma. If one of them or both of them attain old age, kibr, فَلَا تَقُلْ لَهُمَا أُفٍّ. Don't even say off to them. And as we know, off means the lowest form of disobedience. Just to say that is a form of disobedience. But the Quran goes even further when it talks especially to the seniors. وَقُلْ لَهُمَا وَاخْفِضْ لَهُمَا جِنَاحَ الظُّلِّ مِنَ الرَّحْمَةِ. Lower the wings of humility because of your rahmah towards them, out of mercy towards them. وَقُلْ لَهُمَا قَوْلًا كَرِيمًا. When you talk to them with karima. You know what's karima? Dignity. Talk to them in a dignified manner. Many a time when we deal with senior citizens, we shout at them. Sometimes we abuse them. The Quran says, no, don't even utter off to them, and talk to them in a dignified manner. Don't raise your voice. Don't mistreat them. Why? Because the seniors are the most vulnerable in society, by the way. They're very vulnerable. And nothing, believe me, nothing is more frustrating for a person than to be immobile. That when you were younger, you were mobile, you could do everything on your own. But then you become seniors, suddenly now you're not able to function the way that you used to function. And then when you need your children, they're either not there for you, or they don't want to be there for you. And therefore, there is a beautiful dua, again from the Quran. Let me say, رَبِّ ارْحَمْهُمَا كَمَا رَبَّيَانِ الصَّغِيرَ. Oh my Lord, have mercy on them the way that they had mercy on me when I was young. Do you remember that dua? It's not only a dua, by the way. It's also a reminder to ourselves as to how we should have behaved with our parents. Because just as they have behaved with me based on mercy, on kindness, I should do the same to them. Sallu ala Muhammad. Then there is also, the Quran talks of how to connect with parents. As you can see, the Quran has different core values. When it comes to children, we should be moral guides to them. When it comes to spouses, based on rahmah, mawadda and rahmah. When it comes to parents, senior citizens, we're supposed to talk to them in a very dignified manner. And yet when it comes to parents, our own parents, the Quran also has something to say about that. As the Quran says, that وَنَشْكُرَ لِي وَلِوَالِدَيْكَ, that you should thank me, that is, you should thank Allah, and you should thank your parents. It's as if that if you do not thank your parents, you can't really thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. Allah has decreed in the Quran, it says, that you shall worship only Him. And in the same verse, without a full stop or a comma, the Quran continues, and you will do ihsan to your parents. And ihsan here does not mean to do a favor. It means to give back what is due to them. The most beautiful deeds to your parents. Why? Because it is through your parents that you reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you cannot thank your parents, you cannot even thank your Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sallu ala Muhammad wa alayhi. And amongst the parents, as we are aware, the mother becomes even more important. As the Quran reminds us, again, see how the Quran emphasizes the values of different kinds of family relationships. حَمَلَتْهُ أُمُّهُ كُرْهًا وَوَضَعَتْهُ كُرْهًا وَحَمْلُهُ وَفِصَالُهُ ثَلَاثُونَ شَهْرًا. The mother carried the child with great difficulties. We, the men, we never really realize what it means to be pregnant, because we don't get pregnant. But the Quran reminds us, حَمَلَتْهُ أُمُّهُ كُرْهًا. The mother bore the child with great difficulties. And then وَوَضَعَتْهُ كُرْهًا. And she gave birth with great difficulties. وَحَمْلُهُ وَفِصَالُهُ ثَلَاثُونَ شَهْرًا. And the total period of carrying the child and looking after, suckling, weaning the child is 30 months. Because of that, as we are aware, the Prophet says 3 times, first your mother, first your mother, first your mother, then your father. Why is it so important? Because the mother is the one who toils much more than the father. The story is told of Uwais al-Qarni. Uwais, he lived during the time of the Prophet. He used to live in Yemen. He wanted to go and visit the Prophet. He loved the Prophet so much. The Prophet was in Medina. But yet the mother said no. She needed him there. Uwais al-Qarni, despite his great love for the Prophet, he did not go and visit the Prophet. Why? He said, because visiting the Prophet is a sunnah, but being obedient and attending to my mother is a wajibat. In other words, it's more important for me to be with my mother than to go and visit the Prophet. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala. This goes to show how the Quran emphasizes these family values. And again, if you want to see what it means for a child to respect, to love, and to treat the parents in a most beautiful way, let's go back to the Quran. This is a very poignant, a beautiful point in the Quran. You remember the story. Maryam alayhi salam is pregnant. She goes to the remote part of the city and comes back with the child. Of course, the people are surprised. Where did she come from? Where did this child come from? ما كان أبوك امرؤ سوء وما كانت أمك بغية. That what has happened to you, O Mary? Your father was not an evil man. Your mother was very chaste. It's interesting here that these people in the time of Maryam, they look at the actions of Maryam and they immediately connect it with her parents. That your father was a good man. Your mother was very chaste. Where did this child come from? At that point, of course, she had fasted. In those days, the fast was not by not speaking, not by not eating. Believe me, it's much more difficult to not speak than to not eat. You try keeping quiet for half an hour and you'll see what I mean. Yeah? So in any case, فَأَشَارَتْ إِلَيْهِ. She pointed to the child. قَالُوا كَيْفَ نُكَلِّمُ مَنْ كَانَ فِي الْمَهْدِ الصَّبِيًّا. How can we talk to a child in the cradle? At that point, as we are aware, Isa speaks. But what does he say? We speaks, we know, but the words that he utters are incredible. The first words that Isa speaks, alayhi salam, from the cradle is what? Inni Abdullah. Why does he say Inni Abdullah? After all, they are asking, where did this child come from? قالوا كيف نكلم من كان في المهد الصبية. How can we talk to a child in the cradle? He says, Inni Abdullah. The fact that he says, Inni Abdullah shows that right from the beginning, Isa alayhi salam is destroying the doctrine of Trinity. I am not Allah. I am not the son of Allah. I am Abdullah. I am not Allah. I am not the son of Allah. I am the servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. From the very beginning. آتاني الكتاب وجعلني نبيا. Allah has given me the book and has made me a prophet, not as the prophet at the age of 40, but right from the time of his birth. وَجَعَلَنِي نَبِيًّا. And then he continues, وَأَوْصَانِي بِالصَّلَاةِ وَالزَّكَاةِ مَا دُمْتُ حَيًّا. And he has asked me to pray and to give the zakat for as long as I'm alive. And then he continues, and this is the punchline, as they say, وَبَرًّا بِوَالِدَتِي. That I should be upright and good to my mother. He doesn't say to my parents because he doesn't have a father. In other words, one of the first things that Isa alayhi salam said that I should do bar. Bar is act of goodness, act of kindness for my parents. The Prophet ﷺ was asked, Ya Rasulullah, what is this bar? The Prophet says that the bar is that act of kindness and love for your parents. And the Prophet continues that this bar does not end when your parents die. The bar ends when you die. In other words, even if your parents have passed away, you will continue doing good deeds in their name. You will even, for example, plant a tree in the ground in their name. That is also an act of bar. To offer 2 rakat salat between Maghrib and Isha, that is act of bar. To build a mosque or to help the maintenance of a community, that's also bar. In other words, anything you do because your parents brought you up uprightly, you do something good in their name, they will continue getting the thawab. Sallu ala Muhammad wa alayhi. And And therefore, although we have talked so many times about the rights of the mother, and no doubt she has more rights than the father, but Imam Zain al-Abidin also tells us about the rights of the father. The Imam continues in his Risalatul Huquq. He says, the rights of the father over you is this, and listen for the children especially. He is the root, you are the branches. He is the origins of what you have attained. Many a time, the children when they get a degree, man فوق lisans daram, doctorate daram, as puja umur digal. From where did you get your فوق lisans? You get your doctorate. From where? It is your parents, and especially your father. He toiled so that you can go and study. I'm in the same situation, so I know. He sweated to educate you. In other words, your success came from his sweat. But unfortunately, in today's world, many a time, the mother is a cook and the father is an ATM machine. The children only want to call their father, Dad, I need some money. Well, it's more than that. Because as the Imam reminds us, that the parents are the roots of your blessings. Remember for the youth, the dua of your parents. Get the dua of your parents. Because the dua of your parents can either make you or they can break you if you are not good to them. The Imam Zain al-Abidin continues that as far as your father goes, do not even walk in front of him. When you are walking, don't walk in front of him. Do not even sit down before he sits down. Don't do anything to spoil his reputation. Because as I said, the dua of the parents can make us or break us. Sallu ala Muhammad. Tonight is the third night of Muharram. It was on the third day that Imam Hussein and his Kafilah, they arrived in Karbala. As they were heading towards a direction with hope, it was neither going towards Kufa nor towards Medina. A time comes when a rider approaches them, and that rider delivers a letter to Hur from Ibn Ziyad. And the letter says, wherever you get this letter, stop there, in the middle of the desert. Imam Hussein is asked to stop. They don't know where exactly they are. Imam Hussein, according to some riwayat, he changes no less than 7 horses. The horses do not move. He asks the people, what do you call this place? Some say it is Nainawa. Others say other different names. Finally, one of them said, this land is also called Karbala. When he heard that, the Imam says, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. This is the place where we were predicted. This is the place where we shall be martyred. This is where we shall be buried also. Imam Hussein pitched his tents